but not yet. Now it's being recorded. And so I say that, and I will remind people, because in case you're someplace you shouldn't be, or people are looking for you and you might be discovered on the internet, I just wanted, I wanted to just warn everybody. So my name is Kevin Henry. I'm the MC for the evening, and I'm quite honored to be a part of this celebration for such a great organization with such a wonderful history of making such an impact on everyone who's involved with this organization, as well as who you're serving and your partners and the community at large. So Alice, I didn't know Alice till yesterday. She saw me in the supermarket and said, "We need an MC, and you have a nice Hawaiian shirt, so can you do it?" And she twisted my arm, and so I just no. But seriously, I have a long history in Seattle and Bellevue, and Bellevue in particular. So I'm very much. It's so nice to connect with people. Some people I know, and some people I haven't met yet. So I wanted to make sure that you introduce yourself in the chat. It seems like some people have already been doing that, but if you haven't, please introduce yourself in the chat. Say hello. Crack a joke, something like that. Just use the chat to express yourself and communicate. We have some guest speakers coming up. We have quite a program for you. And just please, I want to remind you also, if you could mute, if you haven't already done that, to eliminate any background noise. And I wanted to make a special thank you to our event sponsors, Becky and Dale Nienow, for being our third circle leaders. And now I wanted to just introduce the CEO, Alice Fong, who I've actually had the pleasure of knowing about 20 years. And Alice first became part of Center for Ethical Leadership back in 2018. She's very passionate about making an impact on the community for the common good of all. She's dedicated, she's hardworking, and she's just fun to be around. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Alice Fong.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Oh my gosh, I'm in such great company with all of you. And I feel so, just so warm to see all these smiling faces here, and really leaders who are serving, for the good of all. And like right now, I could see, I think I know many of you, and I know of your work. And so I'm just really touched. And so for my section here, I just wanted to give some context, because we have some new friends who don't know about our CEL history. And so I just wanted to kind of share that, and then share a little bit about where we're going, which is what we've been doing. And so, our organization is all about relationships. And so that's why I just love how we're all together in this Zoom right now. And in fact, our logo, which is like these little 3 circles, Dale shared with me. Dale is one of our former, my predecessor here at CEL, and he shared with me what the circles meant. And if I get it wrong, Dale, let me know. But the 3 circles are laying on top of each other, because our work is interconnected, it's layered. And then the reason why they're not those perfect circles is because relationships aren't perfect. We work on our relationships no matter what. And when I read that from him, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the perfect organization for me. So I really love this place, and the heart and soul that everybody has put in to make us get to the big 3-0 and beyond. And technically, we're actually 31. Our birthday was 2 days ago, or on the 2nd. But I wanted to kind of say I feel very blessed today, because we've been wanting to plan this event for a couple years now, and we had the pandemic, and so we pushed it out to now. But I really want to thank my predecessors, especially our founder, Bill Grace, Dale Nienow, Waing, who is here, and then really all of you who have played a part of CEL through the years. And from that, I get the best role because I get to take all the wisdom that you've all worked on and really co-creating with a lot of other different communities and partners and friends to create, what we do. And it is, basically we're sharing the rock. We are all living on this world together, interconnected, knowing that things are challenging, but we do it anyways. And I think that's really the heart and spirit of CEL. And even when it's hard, you lose something, you lose friends. If you are into Facebook, you lose a Facebook friend here and there. Hi, Soo Young. It's okay because you know that we have to work on centering on who we are, our values, and then working on how to build and strengthen those relationships. And I believe that CEL has had an opportunity to co-create a lot of tools. And what we're doing is we're taking all of that wisdom and moving forward with that. And so I basically kind of, I guess, I guess the genesis really is, it starts with the values-based leadership work. And really it's that personal journey of knowing our core values and having the courage and discipline to live into them where we live, work, and play. And that was really what we did in our first 15 years. And from working with young people in leadership development, which I hear and continue to hear that they are in elected positions now. They're, doing, serving on behalf of the common good all over the country. So that's really cool. And, and then also adults. And then I learn about how many organizations and partners. There's like a 3-page partner list that ended in 2002, and they were small print, and they were 3 columns of cross section of government, municipalities, faith-based organizations, political, civic engagement, healthcare, businesses, nonprofits, all of that. And the center's energy has always been about convening people and bringing people together, bringing people of all beliefs. And so I love it. And I love this group because I'm not going to point you guys out, but we have a very diverse group here, both in all of our identities, our beliefs. We're all here together, and that is really the essence of sharing that rock. And so from that internal journey of our personal leadership development, we go into the work of our collective leadership and our national work, and really the things that Dale did. And seeing, okay, we have how we work together, our personal journey, but then how do we work together? And then really co-creating some frameworks that allow us to be working and resolving issues and finding solutions together, grounded in gracious space, which is not about holding hands and singing songs, but really building deeper relationships so that we can get into some of those tougher conversations. And then from there, we realized that before you can build trust and relationships, there's healing that needs to be done. So that was the peacemaking circle healing initiative work that is very indigenous to many cultures, and especially here for those of us who are on American soil, our indigenous neighbors and the Tlingit tribe. And then I think Sarome is on here too. At least I thought I saw him. buzzing. And, and the folks who came and really multiplied, circle keeping. And we just amplify. We didn't create it. We just brought in people who are expert in knowledge and willing to share. And then we have circle keepers all over. And that really is, that's just, part of that healing journey so that we can build deeper relationships. And then Waing and I connected and talked about youth leadership again, and we were with Bill. And so we really piloted the RISE initiative, which is Restorative Inclusive School Environments. And it's basically the culmination of everything. Everything, the collective leadership, the healing, restorative, what does that mean? Our own personal journey, how do we live into our values, know our values? And so basically I look at it as, the steward program that we have. Oh my gosh, am I out of time? I have one more minute. And it's just all of these and gracious space all into, what stewards is. And we do this with our consulting work, our coaching work, and implementing our stewards program early next year in February. And with that, the inspiration is really looking at our proclamation that we received back in 1999 by County Executive Ron Sims, where the center engaged over 18,000 people in the span of the 7 years. And so as we move forward, I'm thinking with the board and our team is we can do that intentionally. And so I get so excited. With Elizabeth Chenowich, a researcher in academia, saw that it only takes 3.5% of the population to create effective change. And so if we look at 3.5% of the population around in Seattle area, and then we slowly go out and larger to our country, to our globally, is totally achievable. And so that's really our 3.5% strategy of how we can live into our values on behalf of the common good, to resolve a lot of the largest challenges that we have: environmental, social, ending homelessness, ending poverty. How do we really become interconnected and have a world that thrives together? And that is what I have. And I totally forgot to do the little activity. So.
Did you have an activity? Did you want to slip that in, or?
Yeah, I'll just put it in here, and you all can put in your responses, basically typing in what values do you lead with and lead into. And I'll just put it in here, and as we're moving along in the session, you can share. Okay, I'm done.
All right. All right. Well, thank you, Alice. That was Alice Fong. Let's have a big round of applause for Alice. You can clap at home. Good job. Good job. Okay, we're moving on to yet another special segment of the celebration tonight, and that would be to introduce the Bill Grace Leadership Legacy Award. And wanted to tell you a little bit about that. In the spirit of Bill's visionary work to advance ethical leadership for the common good, CEL awards someone whose vision, commitment, and unceasing efforts are significantly advancing social, environmental, and economic justice. The center is particularly interested in bringing attention to those who recognize the importance of collective work and who are often out of the traditional spotlight. This year, we'd like to recognize Steve Stapleton, Steve has been with CEL since 1999 and played an important role behind the scenes to glue it all together to advance the common good. Now I think we have a round of applause for Steve Stapleton. Now we're going to play a little clip, I believe.
How'd you know it's me?
Good.
Look,
Oh, wow.
there's a box for you.
Wow.
Do you mind if I come in?
No, come in. Let me grab a mask.
Am I supposed to open it now? Oh.
Yes, please.
Okay. How's it going, Alice?
It's going pretty well. How are you?
Doing okay.
He's confused because I told him to put pants on. We'll edit that part.
Need a drum roll.
Very sweet of you. Thank you.
Hi, Rowan. What does it say? Bill Grace Leadership Legacy Award.
Presented to Steve Stapleton
Wow.
with deepest appreciation and affection for your work in advancing the common good.
Wow. Thanks.
All right, that was so nice. Let's have a big round of applause for Steve Stapleton. And now next up on our agenda, everybody knows Bill.
Oh, no introductions, he said.
No introductions, but everybody does know Bill. So Bill Grace.
Okay, I'm not sure that everybody knows me, but I'm delighted to just share a couple of stories about Steve. During Steve's first couple of months at the center, a pattern emerged that I'd never witnessed before in any other place I worked. And that was that Steve would, when he would ring me and say, Bill, there's a call for you on line 1, I'd pick up the phone and the person, rather than saying, well, hi, Bill, and let's whatever would be a normal conversation, and at least a half dozen occasions in Steve's first few months, the person on the other end of the phone would say, who was that? Who was that answered the phone? And I say, well, that was Steve. And the comment was, he is so kind. He is so centered. He is so thoughtful. I felt like I was the only person in the world when he was interacting with me. And Karma Reuter, I believe, coined it as the Tao of Steve. So a lot of us came to work at the center because we wanted to become better people. Steve arrived as a better person, and some friends of mine who take a look at this work from a spiritual perspective say that those of us who want to do deeper work are twice born, but there are very few people, and Steve's one of them, who's once born. Steve arrived at the center kind of fully loaded. The second story I'd like to share is when Steve started mentioning at staff meetings that he and his then housemate Todd, I believe, had been contacted by a reality show and were selected because this reality show was going to upgrade their house. New furnishings, new paint, new decorations, new lighting. But if they could film the process of these upgrades and the choices that Todd and Steve would have to make. So we all were excited to see this episode. And my recollection is that Steve reported one day that all of the upgrades were theirs, the new furniture, the lighting and the paint, that sort of stuff. But the episode was not going to air because there was not enough controversy. These reality shows, as we all know, whatever the topic is, they're really trying to just kind of up the ante on the controversy, because that's what sells cereal, I guess. So it's just another example of how Steve and his centeredness, his decency, that even a reality show that was trying to get his goat, trying to get Todd's goat, couldn't. And the centeredness that Steve's he brings to all occasions. He is a perfect example. Dale said this one time, of a servant leader working behind the scenes, working behind the systems, making the rest of us successful. And Steve didn't do that for 1 year. How many years did you work at the center, Steve?
It was 19.
19 years. So Steve outdid me by 5. And in those 19 years, that was the energy that Steve brought to every occasion. Kindness, centeredness, calmness, decency, and he just made everything run smoother. The final thing I'll say, after having the privilege of directing the center for 14 years, it was time to leave. But it was a difficult transition for me, leaving behind that baby. And I'm delighted that it was in great hands. But I often wondered, if I should show up or just come in and say hi and see how things were going. But it struck me as prudent just to kind of keep my distance. And one time when I was on the phone with Steve, he had called me, we were talking about something, and he said, "Hey, do you want to get together for a cup of coffee?" And we did, and we said, well, let's make sure not to talk about the center. So we talked about fatherhood, we talked about gardening, we talked about events of the day, some of our Seattle University experiences, and it just turned into a natural and wonderful friendship that I'm still the beneficiary of to this day. So I'm so delighted. It's well overdue that we're finally recognizing Steve for all that he is and all that he does. So Steve, here's to you.
Okay, everybody give a big hand for Steve Stapleton. And Steve, we'd like to hear you say a few words. So take it away, Steve.
Thank you, Bill and Alice and everyone. The center has been and always will be a really big and profound part of my life. I appreciate what Bill said about me coming that way, but that's not true. The center changed me as much as anything, and I'll forever be grateful for the things that I was able to do there, and the people, especially the people I met. And so I also want to publicly thank my friend Kevin Plumberg, who decided to go to graduate school and told me I should apply for the job. And for Bill and Dale and Pat and Karma and all of their friendship and leadership and trusting in me and supporting me, and Waing and Alice and Kwesi. Everybody's been so supportive and just become great friends and family. So I'm just so honored and thankful for this opportunity, and especially to my wife Amelia and my son Rowan for supporting me through all of it too. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Okay, that was nice. What a surprise that must have been. And we're moving right along to Brianna Jones. Let's have a big hand, a little round of applause for Brianna. We are excited to introduce Brianna Jones. In 2017, Brianna interned at CEL. They supported aspects such as workshops, social media, and brought their positive energy to our events. They are a creator and leader who organizes in their community. Brianna is currently at Communities Rise as their Director of Capacity Building. And now Brianna shares their story.
Thank you. I appreciate the intro. I feel officially introduced in a capacity I don't always get, so appreciate you. And it's good to see everybody. There's so many friends in the room, and I feel so grateful off rip for that. I want to thank everybody for being here and just being part of this special evening. I think it's always a gift to just be able to get together in community and to be united in even deeper community through the connections of the center. And so folks may have entered into the long timeline of the Center of Ethical Leadership at different times. And so we all know that there is a rich and blooming history of bringing folks together. And tonight feels deeply in the tradition of that work. But I want to chat a little bit about when I entered the work around 2017. So when it was mentioned before, but I came to the center as an intern with a focus on supporting different workshops and sharing about the center on social media. But from the moment I walked in the door of that central district office back in the day, I knew I was just really about to be welcomed into some deeply amazing and transformative work, and I was not let down by that. Out the gate, healing-based ways of moving and navigating conflict were just so present in how the center approached every single part of the work, and I felt that radiate from the moment I was able to join. And even back in 2017, there were key restorative and transformative justice values in the work that are, I know those things are very present as things that folks may be learning about for the first time in these past few years, but those values and those ways of moving were very present even back then, even if they were called different things. And so the CEL office, which the Central District one will be the OG CEL office to me, you may have a different OG office for what the center is to you. But as I walked in, it was teeming with the energy and values that guide all the work of the center from past to now. And so when I showed up in the space, I was entering this breeding ground for critical conversations about what it means to genuinely create gracious space, or how to make room and love for all the different folks and all the different ways we show up in this work. So as a young organizer who is still trying to find their footing, not that I am not always trying to find my footing in this work, being in that type of space at that point in my work was just deeply, by definition, a life-changing experience. And the moments I had at CEL over my time there were a critical part of building the foundation of restorative and community-centric work that I feel very humbled to still be able to do at this point. And so for my folks in the room who have done any type of internship before, I'm sure you can be doubly grateful for how, or doubly understanding of how grateful I was for that. Because, sometimes you go into an internship and you're like, as long as we don't waste time, we did good. And I got to leave with deeper connections to the CEL folks. I got to leave with a deeper understanding of what it means for me to show up in community and be in community work, and some key facilitation things that I certainly are still using in the ways I hold space these days. So for an internship, I gotta be happy with that, certainly beyond what I could have expected. But it wasn't until towards the end of my internship where I was able to do some deeper reflecting on the impact of the center's work beyond myself. And so I was reflecting on the benefit I had in my life for sure, but also was able to see the pattern of what that work looked like in community. I was able to see that I was very fortunate to sit in one of the core cruxes of CEL's work, which is teaching and holding space for leaders and future leaders and helping them build the tools they need to inspire true human-centered restorative leadership in those around them. And I think that CEL and all the folks that have worked at the center in its history have really understood the importance of one-on-one investment in individuals and in our interactions, because that's where we're doing the deepest, most impactful parts of our work. And so that's something that I was hoping to learn as I joined, but was just so deeply fleshed out in my time at the work at the center and being able to be part of the spaces that they hold. By being living examples of value-driven leadership, the people driving the work at the center were inspiring ethical leaderships and the folks around them just by being role models and by holding space to show others what that can look like in their lives too. And so when we invest time, energy, and resources into community-driven leadership, we create bigger and bigger networks of leaders who are putting the community first. And I want to reference what Alice said about the 3.5%, that as we keep building this out, we are able to grow and deepen our impact more and more as we get more folks involved. And through our connections and through that network, that's where our deepest and most impactful work is done. So if I can close with one thing, It is that the work of the center has never been more necessary than in this moment we all share. Our communities deserve leaders like the folks at the center who understand that by shifting our understanding of leadership from I to we are investing in the sustainability of our work. So I invite all of you to give what you're able to the Center of Ethical Leadership tonight, whether that looked like a one-time donation, if that looks like showing up as an ambassador, or just being able to volunteer time. All the things you give are, everything you can give is welcome. And so we invite you to do that. It's never a bad time to invest in the sustainability of this work. So I feel like today would be a pretty good day to do it. But I want to pivot us because I know we'll be moving into our tables here. And so in a moment, we'll be transitioning into our virtual tables, making it work with our breakout rooms. And so you should see something pop up to where you will be invited into those breakout rooms soon. And we'll be in those for a little bit. So let us get our tech things together, but we'll be pivoting into that next. Thank you.
Yay. Thank you very much. And now it's time to pivot into our breakout rooms. So pivot away.
So we might need to bring them back in a few minutes.
A few minutes? I thought it was going to be 6 or 7 minutes. No.
Well, it's probably need to bring them back at the countdown at 6:34.
34?
Huh? Because the keynote is 21 minutes. So we could give them like another minute and
What are they doing in there? I thought they were having a discussion or something.
no, it's just really short. It should be really short.
Okay. It's up to you.
Yes, we didn't tell them that it's just a few minutes, because if not, we're not going to finish our event on time.
And what'll happen? Will Zoom kick us off?
No.
Oh, because I'll make an announcement that will run a little bit over. And, like I said, they don't have to fight traffic. So,
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think if we give them 5 minutes at least, because there's 6 people in each room. So if a minute in theory, right, for each person. So we can bring folks back maybe at like, they just left like a minute ago, like 37.
Okay.
A few minutes.
Okay.
And then Kevin will just say, we're running a few minutes behind. This is Zoom land. I like your traffic comment.
Okay, I'll throw that in there.
And then we'll play the video. And then we should end, I don't know, at like 57. And then you all can do your wrap up.
Wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
Moving. That was so moving. I like cried all over the place.
During what? During when?
Brianna's.
Oh.
Message.
Yes.
That's good. That was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go. I think it's got a nice crowd there.
Yeah.
See some familiar faces.
I didn't see. I was busy crying, so I didn't get to see your message, Amy.
No worries.
I was just looking at the time. Oh my gosh. But it's good. We got a couple like nice event, like private message. You see the private messages too.
I do.
I am sending a message right now to all the rooms that we will close the breakout rooms in 3 minutes. We will close
2 minutes.
There you go. Yeah.
Nice. So Alice, you can relax after this. So tomorrow you'll just kind of decompress after all this.
Oh my gosh, I have to do our 990. Well, it's already done. I have to look through it with for our CPA, and he knows he knows we have this event. He's like, it's gonna be tight, but I think when he didn't hear from me on Friday, He'll hear from me later.
You're like, I'll leave her alone for a bit.
Yeah, yeah, I've worked with them for a couple years now. This will be our third year, so
Mhm.
we have a
So your
little.
990, like a tax form, it's a tax form, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But what form is that?
Like a
I know
nonprofit. It's like a
Nonprofit.
nonprofit
Yeah.
filing. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's a big thing. For them.
yeah. I know 1099s and W4s and W2s and W9s.
This is what everything goes into. All of those go into this big packet of stuff.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So,
Taxes are so fun.
yes.
So do you pronounce your name? Is it Leonie? Leong?
Leong.
Leong. Okay. Amy Leong. All right.
Okay. So I will start
Bringing them back.
bringing them back. All right.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, these are cute rooms.
Thank you.
Do 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 do.
Oh my, it's recorded our conversation.
Oh. Oh.
That's okay. 990s are important.
Edit that out. That'll be in the outtakes in the unedited version. The long version.
Logistics.
I actually left my room. Can you put me back?
You left it
We're
on your
closing.
own.
I was
You
trying
might as
to.
well stay.
But I'm okay. I was trying to push enter for the chat, but when I pushed enter to put me to leave.
Oh.
We're
Oh
closing
my
the room anyways.
Goodness.
I know, but I wanted to. I guess my room people knew it anyways, but I wanted to put all the links. But
Okay, we'll
Oh
put the
my
links. We'll put the links in the
goodness.
chat.
Oh
Thank
my.
you, Anbar. Thank you, everybody.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Just wanted to make a note that we are running a little bit behind, but think of it this way. If this were like a non-virtual event, you'd have to deal with parking, traffic. So you get home a lot faster anyway, right? So now a special part of the program, our keynote speaker. And this is Erin Jones. I'm sure you're familiar with Erin. We are excited to hear from Erin Jones. She embodies the CEL spirit, advancing the common good. Erin sends her regrets that she cannot be with us here in person, but please enjoy her message, radical self-care and self-love. Take it away, Erin.
Hello, leaders. This is Erin Jones. If you don't know me, I am an educator. I'm a mother. I'm a wife. I'm an advocate, activist, adjunct professor this year. I've been a politician. I help raise up politicians now. So I'm doing all the things, y'all. So I know that you all are leaders and you're doing all the things too. So first of all, I want to thank you for leading, especially in this moment. This may be the hardest moment in our lifetimes. I am 50 years old, and I would say collectively, this is the hardest moment I've seen in my lifetime. And so just the fact that you are leading in this moment, I commend you for that. And I want to offer some words of encouragement and some ways that I am practicing self-care and self-love in this moment, and give you some strategies to help you stay strong and firm in your convictions as you move forward. So I have 20 minutes to do that. I'm going to try to do my best to keep it succinct, okay? I'm a talker. It's what I do for a living. So trying to keep it succinct. First thing I want to offer is that every day I do something to feed my spirit, mind, and body. Every single day. I have a spiritual practice. I am a person of faith. Whether you are or not, I want you to think about how you're feeding your emotional self, how you're feeding that spirit self, whether it's with a faith practice or meditation. Doesn't have to be spiritual at all. In the sense, it doesn't have to be religious. But I want to invite you to just rest and check in with that inner self every day. It's something that I do. I listen to worship music for an hour every day. I walk every day and meditate and pray. So I'm really intentional about that. And that connects to my physical practice too. I was a basketball player for 40 years. And until about 6 months into the pandemic, I was running probably 13, 14, 15 miles a week. But then at 50, my body was like, yeah, we don't like you running on the concrete 4 or 5 times a week. And I do not trust gyms yet. And so I was listening to my body. So I would say, listen to your body, listen to your body. And I knew that my body could afford to walk, not run. And so I've been walking 7 to 10 miles a day, really for the last year now. I walked 14 miles last week in Washington, D.C., but I would invite you to think about, what does your body need? I'm an athlete. I played basketball for 40 years, soccer for 20. So I need more movement than the average person. We all need to do something with our bodies, whether that's swimming or running or playing racquetball, whatever it is that you do. You've got to get your body up and moving. It's really important. As you lead, you've got to be in touch with that. And then what are you doing mentally? Podcasts, reading books, writing, whatever it is, something in your practice to just stretch your brain as well. So I want to offer those 3 things right up front in terms of self-care. Then I want to offer to you 4 postures. I just read a book, and I'm not trying to promote the book, so you don't have to buy the book, but I want to share with you 4 postures that I talk about in that book. I do the work of racial equity, but I also am really committed to helping people, especially leaders, have the hard conversations that I believe we need to have to move forward. I believe in the last 30 years that I've been in the United States, there are several things that we've been told to not talk about. And so guess what? We suck at talking about them now. Not because we're bad people, but because we're unpracticed at talking about them. And those things are race, religion, politics. I would add gender to that too, and in certain contexts. When we're in mixed company, those are 4 topics that we've been told to not talk about. And so guess what? We're really bad at talking about them. And so I want to offer 4 postures that I am really committed to in my work, that whether you're doing racial equity work or you're advocating for something else, the environment, if you're in political spaces, whatever arena you're in, I believe if we could really practice these 4 postures and make them habit in our lives, it would change how we show up as leaders. It would change how we show up in community. And so the 4 postures are these: gratitude, assets, brave spaces, and grounding in. So I want to walk through those and actually practice those with you. And I want to invite you, even though I'm not going to be with you physically, I want to invite you to join me in these practices as I do them. So I don't know that you'll have the ability to use a chat feature when you watch this, but if you do have the ability to chat, I want to invite you to actually share something that you're grateful for today. If you're not able to do that in a chat, I want to encourage you to write down something that you're grateful for and commit to sharing it with someone. Gratitude is posture number 1. And here are some facts about gratitude. Here's the science of gratitude. Gratitude is like a muscle. So if you tell me to shoot a free throw, my arm will naturally go like this and I will snap. I have shot so many free throws, basketball. So those of you that are not basketball players, free throw is a shot that you make when you get fouled. And because I'm tall, I got fouled all the time. So I've shot probably 100,000 free throws in my life. My body naturally goes into free throw mode. I don't have to think about it anymore because my body just does it. Do you know that gratitude is like that? The more you practice gratitude, the more your body will naturally be grateful. There are not people that are just naturally better at gratitude than others. There are people who are more practiced at gratitude than others. And so I want to invite you to get practiced at gratitude. Here's the better news about gratitude, though, and this is awesome. My friend, Dr. Jenny Jefferson, did her PhD in gratitude, and here's what she taught me about gratitude that I did not know. Do you know that your brain chemistry actually changes the more that you're grateful? And I don't mean like if you are grateful once a week or twice a week, your brain chemistry will change. I mean that when you are grateful on a regular basis, every day, and it becomes habitual for you, your brain, the dendrites in your brain will literally reform to create this positive neural network in your brain. How many of you would say you could use some more positive right now? I know I could. Man, this last year and a half has been so hard in terms of I've lost 11 friends, lots to cancer, 6 or 7 friends to cancer, just crazy. Lost work. I gained work again, but for a season I was without work. So we've lost a lot. We've lost what was normal, which I think is actually a good thing, but it's still lost though. And so I want to invite you to gratitude, really to start your day, your work, your attitude with something positive. So posture 1, gratitude. Posture 2, I want everybody to hold your hand out like this. Again, you may not be in a room where you can see other people. I don't care. I'm a teacher though. I can see you from here. Even if I'm not live with you, I can see you. Put your hands out in front of the screen. And I want you to picture in your hands the things that you're good at. Picture your skills, your talents, attitudes that you have that are really positive that help you move through the world. I want you to picture those in your hand right now. Picture yourself physically holding them. So let me give you a couple examples of kind of talents, behaviors, attitudes for me that I hold in my hand. I'm very aware that I love to smile. You can put your hands down. I love to smile. And because I love to smile so much, y'all, I went and bought clear masks. I wanted people to be able to see my smile behind my mask. Because I know that being 6 feet tall with a giant red afro, people are intimidated by me. And then I smile and you can feel people, whether I'm walking down the street or in a store, you can feel them just relax when they see my smile. And so I know one of the things I hold is a smile. Another thing that I hold in my hands is the ability to speak languages. I speak 4 languages fairly fluently. I can pick up enough of other languages when I'm in a space to be able to communicate. And so I know that's a talent that I have. Sometimes the things that you hold in your hand are not on a job description. But I want to offer that those things are often what can bring connection to other people. So maybe you love to bake. Maybe you love to cook. Maybe you love to sew. Maybe you love to draw, paint. Maybe you're good with IT, technology. May not be in your job description, but maybe you're that person that when someone gets a new cell phone, you're able to help them get it set up. Or you're really great with social media and you can help people connect on social media. Whatever your thing is, I want to offer to you as a leader. Sometimes we get really caught up in our job title and our job description. And really the thing that can connect us to people is actually not in our job description. It's not in our title. It's that thing that we hold in our hands. I know that I'm a great connector of people. I know everybody. I don't know how I know everybody, but I can't go to an airport in any state without seeing somebody that I know. In fact, I was in Washington, D.C., and Pramila Jayapal was in the seat behind me. Who else was in the airport? Somebody else that I hadn't seen for 10 years was in the DC airport. I see Derek Kilmer all the time. He's a congressperson or senator from Gig Harbor, who I don't ever see in Washington State, but I see him in DC, not even on my plane sometimes. Sometimes we're on different flights, but I see him in DC all the time. I've flown through Dallas airport and seen friends of mine from high school in Europe. I am a connector. I bet some of you are connectors too. And that may not be in a job description, but that's the thing that can help you as a leader. And it can help you help other leaders. So, number 1, gratitude. Number 2, what's already in your hand? What are the assets that you carry? Guess what? When I do diversity and equity work, I encourage people to think about, sometimes when we do DEI work, we talk about deficits first, what that community doesn't have, instead of let's reframe it to what do they bring to the table that we really need? What are the skills and talents and behaviors that they have in their community, man, that we're missing in our community? Instead of thinking we have it all and we need to get them in the room because they need us. Instead, wow, they have something we don't have and we really have something we could learn from them. So assets. Number 3, brave spaces. How many of you remember when political correctness became a thing? I do. I remember. I had moved to the United States for college in 1989, and it was right about then when people started talking about this thing called political correctness. And if you're young, you may not have heard this, but it was this notion that there are certain words you're supposed to use and other words you're not supposed to use, and certain topics you should talk about and other topics you should just avoid altogether. for those of you who are 45 or older, you will remember, I really think political correctness, and y'all, especially right here in Washington State, taught us how to lie to each other really well. There's nothing worse, because I speak languages, but I also speak body language. There's nothing worse than hearing someone use the right word, but seeing their eyes and their body tell me they don't believe that word. And so I want to offer political correctness is not useful as leaders. I also want to offer that playing it safe is not useful. Because here's what I see safety doing in lots of spaces. Safety actually means silence. So it means if we're in mixed company, we often don't talk about that thing that may be controversial. If someone says something offensive, we stay quiet about it because we're afraid what other people might think, who we might make upset. And so I want to offer today something else, something I call brave spaces. And here's what I would ask you as a leader. What do you need to be your best and bravest self? Because I don't think being right or correct is necessary as a leader. And I don't think being safe is useful. So I see myself as someone who seeks to be brave in every space. And here's what being brave means for me. But I want you to think about, what does it mean for you? Number one, for me, it means always being vulnerable. And that means being willing to share really sensitive things, personal stories, sometimes painful things with other people. I can't ask people I'm leading to be vulnerable if I'm not willing to lead by example. And so vulnerability is something that is right up at the top of how I think about being brave. Number two, as a leader, being brave also means being uncomfortable. Being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Being willing to be uncomfortable and push through it and not allowing my discomfort to cause me to be paralyzed or to run from hard things. So hard. But you know, it's one of the greatest gifts of being an athlete is that I learned how to be uncomfortable. Running is not fun for me, but I did it because I knew if I could get in shape, then all the other things would come easily. If I didn't get in shape, everything was going to be uncomfortable all the time. Discomfort is it's just part of the process of being an athlete. I would say it's part of the process of learning anything new, learning a language. If you have ever learned another language, you will remember the time in the beginning as you were learning it when it was really uncomfortable. In fact, I would say I'm fairly fluent in Spanish, but I don't get to speak Spanish all the time. And so we go to Mexico every summer for a week and I only speak Spanish. That first couple days is hard because I'm translating in my head. I'm trying to remember, what's the word for that? I haven't used it for a year. And so even for me now that I'm fairly fluent, it's still a bit uncomfortable. And I have to be willing to push through and not just switch back to English because it's easier. It's no different in your arena. Whatever your arena is, be willing to push through discomfort. Because I insist on being vulnerable and pushing through discomfort, I do not use nor allow shame, blame, and guilt. I just don't. I think we in the United States right now have capitalized on shame, blame, and guilt. You know, when you see that person post something on Twitter that is just gross and you take a screenshot and then repost it and tell everybody how gross that was, I don't think that changes people's attitudes. I think it may change someone's behavior for a hot second. It's not a long-term shift, though. It doesn't cause that. And I say that as a 30-year veteran educator. If I call a child stupid in my classroom, they are not learning anymore. And if I'm able to win them back, it will take dozens of hours of time and lots of additional energy. And so when someone does something stupid or I do something stupid, let's call each other in and up into a better version of ourselves. Let's stop calling each other out and down into shame. So do that with me. Let's call each other in and up into a better version of ourselves, not out and down into shame. Means, yeah, let's hold each other accountable when we mess up, say something offensive, but let's do it in a way that calls people to be better, not calls them to feel stupid, because that actually over time is not effective nor useful. So last two things for me when I think about being brave, and this one I had to just practice this the other day. Apologize when you mess up, especially as a leader. So many of our leaders at the national level, our big popular leaders, are not good at apologizing. And what I mean by an apology is I am sorry. Not, I'm sorry if my words offended you. Or, you're taking that too seriously. You know I didn't mean it that way. Doesn't matter. When you know that you've offended someone, or you know that you've hurt someone or said something that was beneath you, or you know that what you said was not actually what you meant, I am sorry. I just had to do that publicly on social media because I posted something. I posted a meme out of context and it offended people and it was out of context and I didn't explain the context. And in fact, turns out I didn't even know the whole context. And instead of doubling down, I pulled the meme off and I apologized publicly to everyone on social media. Apologize. Last element for me of being brave is get curious about people who have very different beliefs, voting records, ways of being than I do. Instead of saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe that person. They're so dumb. All right, they're just, they're awful. All those people. Instead, I'm choosing to say, you know what, can you help me understand why you did that? Why you showed up that way? I really want to understand where you're coming from. So, being brave. What do you need to be your best and bravest self? So posture 1, gratitude. Posture 2, what's in your hands? Assets. Posture 3, brave spaces. Last posture is grounding in. And we're actually going to do this activity. So I want you to do this with me. How many of you say dumb things when you're tired, upset, hungry? I do. I'm the first to admit I say dumb things. And so when I know I can feel my emotions rising, or I know I'm hungry, I know I'm walking into a meeting with someone that I've struggled to really value, I choose to ground in first, to just get myself straight, get myself centered. This is a great breathing activity that I teach children as little as 4 how to do. It's really simple. You can do it anywhere. We're just going to do this for 20 seconds, okay? If you are sitting in a chair, sit up as straight as you're physically able to. Get your feet as planted on the ground as you can. I love to imagine that our feet are connecting us all across the state of Washington. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable, just to eliminate distractions. If you don't feel comfortable closing your eyes, find a spot on the wall and just focus on that spot. We're just going to focus all of our attention on our breathing. I want you to listen to the air as it goes in and out of your body. I want you to feel the air as it goes in and out of your body. We're going to take just 20 seconds. I'm going to cue us in by saying, take a deep breath in, blow it out. I will count to 20 in my head. You keep breathing deeply, and then I'll cue us back in. Take a deep breath in. Blow it out. Take one last deep breath in. Blow it out. Open your eyes. Stretch a little bit. Imagine if every president, every leader just paused before they responded to that email or that tweet or that Instagram post or that person in your staff meeting who said something offensive. Imagine if we just paused. You don't have to announce to your whole team, I'm grounding in right now because I'm a little upset. Don't do that. Just pause. And maybe you only have 5 seconds. Maybe you have 5 minutes. I want to invite us as leaders to just take a moment to pause. Posture number 1, gratitude. Every day. Practice it with your children, with your spouse, with your colleagues. Posture number 2, assets. What do you have in your hands? What do the people you're serving have in their hands? Posture 3, brave spaces. What do you need to be your best and bravest self? Posture 4, ground in. Just stop to breathe and reconnect. Again, leaders, thank you for what you do. Thank you for being you. Thank you for standing up in a season that is really difficult. Remember to take care of yourselves too, okay? Radical self-love, radical self-care. Be blessed and have a great conference. Bye.
That was wonderful. Such a timely message. And as unsettling and as disturbing as especially the last couple of years have been for everyone, I think it also has opened some doors, some opportunities for self-reflection, self-growth, and also making an impact on your community, including individuals as well as the community at large. So I think you're all doing a wonderful job. Obviously, you're committed to that. I think this is, unless I'm missing something, Alice, I think this is the conclusion of the event. Am I right?
Yes, if you want to stay for pictures, please do. Save the date. If you haven't subscribed or you blocked our our emails, please unblock us, and we'll keep in touch with future events. We'll probably try to get the legacy back in March, in the spring, where it has always been. Yeah, appreciate all of you for joining us and for continuing to do the work that you do. 701.
I also wanted to thank Amy for her brilliant technical work. Amy's, I don't know if she's off camera, she's being shy, but for pulling together the technical part of this, which wasn't necessarily easy. So thank you, Amy.
Yes, I definitely want to give a shout out to our volunteers. Let me get my my list so I don't forget everybody. Want to, oh, here it is. Thank Anbar, Amy, definitely Amy, thank you. Brianna, Cindy for helping to talk sense into me, or else this event would have been 2 hours. You have her to thank. Joe Cunningham, Joe Hailey, JP, Kevin, of course, Rob, Selvi, Shirley, Waing, and happy birthday, Waing. Not happy birthday, Waing, but happy birthday, Matthias. It's his birthday. Thank you for joining us to celebrate our 30th.
So we'll get a quick screenshot if folks want to come off camera. We can do a quick photo if you're able to. So on a count of 3, I'm going to do a couple just so we can grab screenshots of everybody. So ready? 1, 2, 3.
Hang on, Cindy's face. Oh, she's wearing her what I thought was pink glasses, but they're black.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, smile. All right, hold that. One more. 1, 2, 3, smile. Great. That's it.
Yay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Oh, can you stay for a picture, Bill, Waing, Steve, Karma, Gail, a CEL? Oh, and Shirley, our volunteers, before you guys all leave. Anybody else who wants to be in our picture? Ooh.
There was also a dog on the call.
Yeah, Tari is part of CEL.
Yeah.
Tari, can you bring Jerome?
The dog is eating someone right now. That dog's a killer.
Good job, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
It's so wonderful to see so many of the people that were there early on. What a gift. Hey, Bill.
Hey, yeah,
Hey, I'm so glad to see you.
good to see you too.
Okay, I will take a couple more screenshots whenever folks are ready.
Okay.
This team. All right.
Alice,
Are
be
folks
part of
ready?
our picture. Alice Park.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Smile.
Cheese.
One more. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for figuring out how to do that.
Thank you, Amy. Amy, why didn't you show your picture?
I feel bad. Thank you so much,
Bye.
everyone.
Nice
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank
One more
you.
congratulations to Steve. Yay,
Yay,
Steve
Steve.
Stapleton. Yay, Steve.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
That's what I really wanted to do, but I was muted.
Oh, it is Steve.
Love you all.
Oh,
Good night. Thanks.
he's over here
Night,
now.
everybody.
Night.
Bye.
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 I
Night,
went
Dale.
back, the whole family.
Wild group, wild group.
Thank you, Alice.
Thank you, Alice.
Thank you,
Bye,
Alice.
Daryl.
Thank you.
Bye, Karma.
Bye, Karma.